Okay?
Should I just ask it anyway?
But yeah, you can be a little bit louder so others can.
Okay, I was appreciating the point of God not being dependent on any axiomatic truths. But my question is, it seems that saying you can't prove God is relative because he's not dependent on any axioms, you can't prove him, but he himself being, it seems contextual because he also gives the process of bhakti, which gives you your experiential proof of the Lord. But I know you can't, a theist can't prove to an atheist who's determined not to see that God exists and vice versa. So I don't know if you could consolidate that point. It seems like it's relative.
Yes, that's an interesting observation. We are not saying that God cannot be experienced. In fact, the process of bhakti is the process to experience the Lord's personal presence. Actually, the Lord's presence can be experienced by any person who has basic logical orientation. It is not that we can't feel the presence of Lord even with our brains, even without bhakti. With jnana, we can go to some extent, but what we cannot realize is the personal willed presence of the Lord. The Lord has an impersonal presence and a personal presence. Both are existing simultaneously in the same place. Lord is both personal and impersonal. His impersonal presence is already revealed to us. So that's this material energy. So we can directly understand logically that it comes from Krishna. Therefore you can feel the presence of the Lord. But for us to be able to get the personal reciprocation of the Lord, we need bhakti. And when the personal reciprocation is given to you, it's only you who can experience it. Unless and until the other person, you cannot, oh, I saw Krishna, so here I can show you Krishna. You cannot. The scientists sometimes, they discover something. Not only they see, but they can even make an ordinary man see that. That is scientific experimental truth. But our experimental truth will remain subjective always, because your experience of Krishna's personal reciprocation is dependent on your purity. Because purity of your consciousness and love for the Lord, not just purity alone is not enough. We need purity and we need love. What is ruchi and asakti? To be able to actually invoke and see the Lord face to face. Like Prabhupada says here, one can see with their own eyes. And until that condition of bhakti arises in our mind, we cannot see the Lord. The atheist has to begin with Adau Shraddha. That Shraddha. The Shraddha here doesn't really mean faith or belief. Prabhupada uses the word belief. Actually, the word belief is a different word in Sanskrit. The word Shraddha is different. Belief means actually Vishwasa. In English language, we don't have an equivalent for Shraddha. Although Shraddha, we normally translate it as faith. Actually, it is not Shraddha. In the Vedic literature, it is attention. A more closer word better than faith would be attention. Although Shraddha means first pay attention. That is the meaning of Shraddha. In some of the Indian other languages, for example in Malayalam, which is very closely related to Sanskrit, this sense is used. Shraddhicho. Shraddhicho means did you pay attention? So what is required is the Vedic knowledge is very subtle and it is all pervading. The Vedic knowledge is existing in the heart of all living entities. If you can pay attention to it, the knowledge is revealed. It is always revealed knowledge. Vedic knowledge. Tasyaite katita hyarta prakashante mahatmana. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita hyartaha prakashante. It just manifests. A knowledge which is already there is just opened up. So that is the nature of Vedic knowledge. So Vedic knowledge requires not faith in the normal sense. Unfortunately, whenever we use the word Shraddha, almost all translators end up using the word Shraddha as faith. Just like Dharma is translated as religion. But Dharma is not religion. Dharma means the fundamental characteristic of of any entity for that matter, not just living entity. Dharma, every object has its dharma, as its natural nature. Similarly, we as living entities have our natural nature, which is to serve the Lord. Jive Swarupovai Krishna Nityadas. That is the dharma. Similarly, Veda itself means knowledge. When it is knowledge, where is the question of believing the knowledge? The word Veda means knowledge. So what Veda needs is our attention of our full spiritual faculties. We need to pay attention. That is why Prabhupada uses the word submissive oral reception. Shushrushro Shraddhadanasya. Shraddhadana means one who is listening submissively. Submissively means you have to submit to the knowledge which exists, the truth which exists. The problem when we hear any knowledge is we have our internal prejudices, we have our internal preconceived notions. Immediately we bring that as a challenge to the knowledge. And that's why we have so many doubts. How is this? How is that possible? In other words, we spoil. But if we can hear very submissively, attentively with our ears, just like I may pay attention to somebody like this with my eyes open, but with our ears open, with our internal faculties open, if we just hear the knowledge of the Veda, just like when I say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Will anybody here contradict me, saying no, it is not this straight line? Everybody will. It seems right? When I say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, it seems intuitively right. Similarly, when you very carefully listen to the Vedic literature, by shutting all our preconceived notions, then everything the Vedas says will feel intuitively right. Yeah,
Well, what
it must
do you
be so.
repeat? I don't
Yeah, it must be so. Yeah, it makes sense. In fact, that is why we are convinced about Krishna consciousness. We are convinced because our inner faculty of intuition, or our ability to intuit the truth, that inner ability which we have, somehow whatever is spoken when we heard submissively by chance, by fluke, when we hear something spoken by a pure devotee, yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. It tallies with what is harmonious with our heart. Yeah, that's why we all surrender to Krishna. That's why we have accepted Krishna consciousness. So this acceptance, this non-interfering way of listening, when we are hearing the Vedic literature, Vedic knowledge, we should not interfere with our speculative understanding. Just absorb. Just like you may sip some juice. Like that we should be able to sit through our ears, the holes of our ears very attentively. That is called Shraddha. It is not faith. Faith means you don't know it exists, you are not convinced it exists, simply you believe it. You don't have proof. Whereas Shraddha means you accept the truth which exists as truth, not as something you believe in. Yes.
Did you have a question? Why don't we have time?
I have time unless Mother Madhuri is the controller.
Let's continue. Whoever needs to go can go, right? But
Yeah, we don't
whoever
want to
would
stop people who have work to do. You can go, but someone wants to continue the discussion, we can do.
I just want to make one. My observation from your lecture today was 2 points. One was to not be so sure that we're sincere, or not to be so sure of ourselves that we're a good devotee, and also be to see others, other devotees, as more important than myself.
Yes. That's what I made a point.
At the same time, one of the important qualities is the sincerity. So if I doubt my own sincerity, it's like such a basic thing for a devotee to, it's like I cannot do it this or that, but as long as I'm sincere, this is the basic thing. And then if I'm going to question the basic thing, it's like, what do I stand on?
Yes, that's the point. So, a sincere person demonstrates his or her sincerity by doubting his sincerity. That is the fundamental definition of sincerity. At least I would take it that way. A sincerity which is very presumptuous, a sincerity of a person which makes him or her think I am sincere is insincere. That's the way sincerity works. In other words, when I'm not saying we are not sincere, all I am saying is we should know that Maya can penetrate our sense of sincerity also. Therefore, by doubting our sincerity, we are warding off Maya from interfering with our sincerity of our consciousness. By constantly doubting, you are making sure you don't allow insincerity to creep in.
I just noticed that, yes, part of me is sincere, but the other, there's so much there which is not sincere. Or
That's
all the
correct.
effects
That's the
of
right
it.
way.
I think that's what you are, that there's something little bit of it,
That's,
but there's a lot which.
that's something which is a little bit sincere. We'll look at the other part which is not sincere.
Yes.
Than at itself.
Yes, now I get it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
And the the diluting factor in thinking whether I'm sincere or not sincere are both self-centeredness. In other words, my consciousness is self-absorbed rather than Krishna absorbed. So then that's why it becomes a
But at the same time, we need to look within and we need to see.
Yes.
That's part of being
Yeah.
introspective.
Yeah.
And we need to question our motives and
Mhm.
look at that. That's not self-absorption. That's a healthy introspection. To look at
Yes.
why do I.
There are
what
two things. When
motivates
we
me?
talk of self, we have the soul proper. Thinking of the soul proper is also thinking of Krishna because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna.
one and
But thinking of the false ego, our identification and our various identification with the material things like thinking of our material talents, thinking of our material facilities which this body is having. I may be beautiful, so I think I am beautiful because of the body. Yes, I am beautiful as a soul. When I think I am Krishna's servant, it's automatically beautiful even if my body is ugly. A person can be beautiful not because of the body. A person can be beautiful because of his nature of surrendering to Krishna. When a person who is very ugly is surrendered to Krishna, bodily ugly, but he is surrendered to Krishna, he is the most beautiful person. The beauty is at the level of the soul, when we are having the right attitudes towards everything, when our nature, so to think of ourselves in the spiritual level is not ahankara. There is ahamkara and aham bhava. Aham bhava means realizing our own self. Ahankara is attaching ourselves to the various material things which are temporary. Like if I am beautiful in my looks, that looks are temporary. I will lose my beauty as I grow older and die. If I am a male, if I think I am a male, I lose that identity of my sense of sexuality at the time of death. I may be dead and born as a woman. So that's not permanent identity. So thinking of permanent identity is identical of thinking of Krishna because our permanent identity is part and parcel of Krishna's manifestation for his pleasure.
And that would explain how devotees like Akrura and also Yudhishthir make the proclamation that we are your pure devotees.
Yeah.
You know, it's not coming from the false ego.
Correct, it's not coming.
Well, there's, what is Rajpal used to say, you know, he said, because you talked about confidence, and he said that humility and confidence is that without Krishna I can't, and without the devotee Krishna won't. So those two together is humility and confidence.
Thank you for that statement. Yes, Prabhu.
Just one quick thing on the scientific note. I always thought it was interesting that when we would be out preaching, and someone would ask that point, well, prove that there's God. If there's God, show him to me. You know, Prabhupada would use that as one thing. So we would sometimes say that there is actually a scientific step-by-step process that you can seek God. But you have to be willing to take that process all the way through to see. And that's the point that they're not willing to do.
Again, when we say scientific process, we should not be conditioned by material scientist's definition of scientific. Material scientist's definition of scientific is that which can be proven by material experiments. But that is not a precondition. You don't have to have material experiments to prove. Secondly, the proof can be given only to the person who is seeking the proof and not necessarily to the entire world. Not required. If I seek Krishna, it does not mean automatically I can show everybody Krishna. Unless they also, each one individually follows the process. So we have a scientific step-by-step process. So that way, we are scientific. But even the word scientific has been hijacked by the so-called scientists as if only they are scientists and we are not scientists. If by scientific you mean a systematic way of investigating and learning things, then Bhakti Yoga is also science. Why they should hijack the connotation of what science is? Oh, whatever they say and the way they do it alone is science. That's very unscientific.
Krishna says of science, I'm the science of the soul.
Pardon me?
Krishna says that of science, I'm the science of the soul.
Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. Of all the sciences, I am the science of the soul. So I think materialist scientists' knowledge is very minuscule, insignificant, perverted science. We cannot take that as scientific. So then when people say, oh, Vedas are scientific, in what sense? Not in the scientist's scientific sense. Vedas are scientific in their own sense. Vedas define what is science. And they are scientific in their own sense.
That only says that this point says science and the scientist, they are only defining, so they are limited, whereas Krishna is unlimited. That science, they define only whatever they present to another scientist, that is a limited audience only. A guy who is presenting and those who are accepting, very limited audience.
No, they don't say that way. They say yes, if you also want to be a scientist, you can be one. Do PhD, you can also join us. And it is a material process. All you have to do is spend about 15 years in education. If you live for 15 years, at your age, for example. What is the guarantee we will live more? There is no guarantee. So, but the scientists are correct in saying anybody who follows the method of science, they will get the same result. So that way they are scientific. But what results they discover is insignificant and contradictory to the Vedic knowledge. And Vedic knowledge is perfect. Vedic knowledge is emanating from the perfect level, so nothing can be contradictory to the Vedic knowledge and stand scrutiny of being perfect science. If the science can be conducted in a way, in a harmonious way with Vedic knowledge, we accept that. I think we should stop here. Thank you very much for the participation. Prabhupada ki jai.